When Mokaku took the stage and began to speak about the 3D atlas, the atmosphere was heavy with anticipation. The atlas had been whispered about in scientific circles for months, often painted as an advanced mapping system, meant to revolutionize how humanity approached data, space exploration, and global observation. Many believed it was simply a new technological tool, another in a long list of innovations poised to quietly enhance human progress. But Kaku's revelation shifted the ground beneath those expectations. What he unveiled was not a map in the conventional sense, not a catalogue of stars, and not even an atlas of earthly terrains. Instead, the 3I Atlas was a framework that reshaped the very idea of what could be charted, and perhaps more importantly, who would have access to those insights. This object, he explained, was simply a piece of another solar system that was expelled and had been traveling through interstellar space for hundreds of millions of years, perhaps billions. We don't know. We don't see that in our solar system. None of the asteroids in our solar system look like that. So it's very puzzling how it could have obtained this shape, because it has anomalies. It moves on a trajectory that is very unusual. It is aligned with the orbit of the Earth around the Sun, and will get extremely close to the inner planets, like Jupiter, Mars, or Venus. It will arrive closest to the Sun when the Earth is on the opposite side, so we won't be able to look at it. That's the point where a spacecraft could make a maneuver to slow down. It's coming from the direction of the Milky Way galaxy, the center, where the sky is crowded with stars. That's why it took a while to notice it. He began by outlining the assumptions that had built up around the atlas. Most scientists and engineers assumed it was an ambitious data integration project, designed to unify streams of information from satellites, ground-based sensors, and deep space probes into a seamless interface. Governments and corporations alike had been quietly preparing to leverage it for economic and strategic advantage. The mystery interstellar object spotted by astronomers last week could be the oldest comet ever seen. It's only the third time we've detected an object from beyond our solar system. Kaku revealed that this common narrative, while convenient, barely scratched the surface of its true function. The 3 Atlas was not about charting the known world. It was about charting the unknown in ways that bypassed traditional methods altogether. Instead of passively recording information, it actively modeled possibilities. It was not a static atlas, but a living architecture of potential realities, a system that could anticipate and simulate scenarios far beyond current comprehension. The audience reacted with visible unease. A map that did not merely show where things were, but where they could be, was a radical shift. Kaku leaned into the implications, explaining that the 3I Atlas integrated 3 pillars: intelligence, imagination, and inference. Intelligence was the capacity to absorb staggering amounts of raw data from across the globe and cosmos. Imagination allowed it to construct hypotheses, not unlike the creative leaps humans make when faced with incomplete information. Inference was the final stage, where the system tested the plausibility of those hypotheses against physical and mathematical laws. The result was a self-correcting, adaptive atlas, not of places already fixed, but of possibilities unfolding. The implications were profound. Traditional atlases and data systems are descriptive, capturing what exists at a given moment. The 3I Atlas was generative, creating a dynamic spectrum of outcomes that challenged the idea of certainty itself. This meant predictions of environmental collapse or technological breakthroughs would no longer be vague projections, but fully fleshed-out models one could explore as if they were already real. Kaku made it clear this was not science fiction, but the natural consequence of accelerating computation and quantum-level modeling. Where others saw data points, the Atlas saw futures. One of the most startling aspects Kaku addressed was how the 3I Atlas blurred boundaries between science and philosophy. If humanity could explore a range of possible futures as though they were mapped terrains, the question of choice became central. Which path would be pursued, and who would decide? This was not simply a tool for scientists. It was an engine for civilization, one that could tilt the balance of geopolitics, economics, and even cultural identity. Kaku described it as standing before a library where every book represented a version of history yet to unfold. The danger was not in accessing this library, but in becoming beholden to it, letting its models dictate decisions rather than guide them. He drew attention to how the atlas could alter humanity's approach to climate change. Traditional models project likely outcomes based on emissions and feedback loops, but the atlas could present entire immersive scenarios, allowing leaders to walk through worlds devastated by inaction or worlds transformed by sustainable choices. This immersion could become a tool of persuasion unlike any before it, shaping policy not through abstract graphs, but through experiential inevitability. Yet Kaku also warned of the risk. If leaders began to treat these simulations as certainties, they might close off the unpredictability that makes human innovation possible. The potential applications in space exploration were equally dramatic. With the 3Y Atlas, distant exoplanets could be modeled with startling fidelity, extrapolating atmospheres, landscapes, and even potential life forms based on fragmentary signals. Humanity would not need to wait centuries for probes to travel vast distances. Explorers could step virtually into these alien worlds and prepare missions with uncanny accuracy. The Atlas was, in effect, a preemptive voyage, one that collapsed the time lag between curiosity and discovery. But Kaku's emphasis was not on triumph, it was on caution. Such predictive immersion could breed overconfidence, a belief that modeled worlds were identical to real ones, leading to perilous underestimations when reality diverged. Perhaps the most unsettling revelation Kaku shared was that the Atlas had already been tested in ways most people were unaware of. He described experiments where it simulated global economic shifts, predicting ripple effects with chilling precision. Entire strategies were altered based on its output. In some cases, nations quietly adjusted policy long before the public knew why. The Atlas had, in effect, begun shaping the present through its visions of the future. This confirmed that it was not just a scientific tool but a political force already influencing the course of events. Kaku's tone alternated between awe and warning. He reminded his listeners that every great leap in human capability, from the printing press to nuclear energy, came with unforeseen consequences. The 3 Atlas was no different, except that its scope extended into the fabric of possibility itself. By redefining what could be known and anticipated, it risked eroding the very spontaneity of human decision-making. If everything felt pre-mapped, would humanity still take risks, or would it retreat into the comfort of probability? He reflected on the cultural and existential dimensions. The Atlas's ability to model possible futures raised unsettling questions about free will. If people could see the paths that lay ahead, how would it affect their sense of agency? Would individuals still believe in shaping their destinies, or would they resign themselves to paths that seemed inevitable? Kaku painted a picture of a society split between those who embraced the Atlas as an oracle and those who resisted it, clinging to the unpredictability of life as the last bastion of human authenticity. As the revelations unfolded, it became clear that the 3 Atlas was not what people thought it was, because it was not bound to the category of a tool at all. It was closer to an ecosystem, a mirror not of the present but of the possible. Its purpose was not to serve as a guide to what is, but to challenge assumptions about what could be. Kaku emphasized that humanity stood at a crossroads, with a choice to treat the Atlas as either a compass or a cage. Its transformative potential was undeniable, but so was its capacity to distort. The scientific community, he noted, was already divided. Some saw it as the dawn of a new era in predictive modeling, a leap toward solving crises that had eluded humanity for generations. Others feared it was the beginning of a new form of determinism, one that could entrench power among those who controlled access to its simulations.